Hey guys, my name is Mayuk and I work here at MongoDB. Well, currently I'm working from home, as you would expect amidst the pandemic. But I'm not here to talk about MongoDB per se. I'm here to share something that should change your life, if you're not doing it already, of course. But then I do not need anything in return, not even a like on the video, not even a comment, right? And if you like it, and if you think you can use it for your own good, it's up to you. If you don't like it, don't use it. Okay. So regardless of what stage you are in your career, right? And I can tell you from my personal experience, because I've seen people in my life who have suffered terribly because they have not planned ahead for their retirement, right? Or planned in advance for their retirement. Now, here's the thing, right? So if you are of a certain age and you're working and you are earning a salary, you're not an entrepreneur where your earning potential is infinite. If that is not the case and you're earning a fixed salary per month, then it's imperative that you stack away a part of that salary, right, and invest in the equity asset class. And by the way, once again, I do not need anything in return. I do not have any investment firm that I'm running adjacent to what I do at MongoDB. No, nothing of that sort. It's just that I've seen people in my family who have suffered a lot because they have not invested in equities and they've just simply invested in, they have stashed away their money in fixed deposits, bank fixed deposits, where the interest that the bank pays is it is not an inflation adjusted return, right? So the return that you get from a fixed deposit or any other asset class apart from equity is more often than not is it's not adjusted for inflation, right? For just to give you an idea, if you earn $100 today, right, and if you stash it away in a bank account and the bank pays, let's say hypothetically, depending on the country you're from, the interest amount would change, right? Let's say the bank pays you 5% interest, and I'm not being conservative here. In most countries, especially in a developed country where inflation is not that high, the interest rate would be far lower. And if that is the case, then and imagine if the inflation goes up as it would now because of all the quantitative easing that has happened in the near term. There is the influx of liquidity from the developed country central bank, like the United States, for instance. So this flush of liquidity will cause a lot of inflation going forward. And when the countries like United States, they start to fight inflation, then they'll pull the liquidity away, and then the markets will crash, and then there'll be a huge economic downturn once again. Now the problem is that if it's not inflation adjusted, then your earnings are not growing or your investments are not growing, but in fact it's decreasing in value, right? Inflation eats into it. Now, how to invest in equity classes? Of course, one is you should invest in the index funds. In India, we have ETFs, index ETFs, Nifty 50 and Sensex 30, etc. And depending on which country you're from, you'll have your own index to invest in. And then you also diversify your wealth across, let's say, United States. And if you're not in India, then India, because India is a growing economy. Then, of course, China, and maybe look at Brazil as another fail-safe, right, for you. So you can diversify your portfolio, through different funds, global funds that allow you to invest in these countries, depending on which country you're from. And then the other thing that you should do is invest in stocks directly as well. How do you do it? How do you identify companies where you will not incur a loss, right? So there's a very simple rule. One is that the company should have a market cap of at least $20 million and should be around for at least 10 years. Now, the third parameter is the fact that the company should be able to generate 15% revenue or sales for the last 10 years in average. Look for 15% sales growth. And if you cannot find companies with 15% sales growth over 10 years in your country, then reduce it to 10, but don't go beyond that. So 10 is that cutoff, that threshold that you cannot go beyond. The last parameter, along with the 10-year average of sales or revenue, is ROCE or ROCE, so return on capital employed. ROCE should be above 20%. not just for this year, for the last 10 years. Should be above 20%. And the company should have free cash flow, which is effectively ROCE minus WACC, that is return on capital employed minus weighted average of cost of capital. And that, if that is essentially a free cash flow, and if the company has free cash flow, is generating free cash flow consistently for the last 10 years, then chances of the promoters, doing something funny with their books is fairly slim. Last but not the least, invest in companies that has a sectoral tailwind propelling it forward. So in the sector, let's say in India right now, we have pharma and specialty chemical sector, which has a lot of tailwind, right? So do that and you'll be happy and retire safe. Okay. Thank you. On that note, take care. Bye bye. Cheers.